Barbara Peters. Welcome to this episode of the Criminal Calendar. We have with us today best-selling author and distinguished scientist, Dr. Kathy Reichs. Hi, Kathy.
Hello.
And, I might add, this is the occasion for her 10th book. Did you know when you started in 1997 with Deja Dead?
No, of course not. You just hope you're going to get published, that maybe you can sell the one you're working on. But I wasn't thinking, I was hoping I would become a serial character, but I wasn't looking that far down the road.
You had so much else going on in your life. What prompted you to, take the leap to writing fiction? I mean, you were already overbooked.
Well, as it were. I just thought it would be fun. I'd made full professor at the university, and I could do what I felt like, and I didn't want to do another textbook or journal article. So I just thought fiction would be fun. I thought it would bring my science to a wider audience, and I had just worked on a serial murder case, so I had sort of the basis for a story, and it all kind of came together in '94, and it took 2 years, so I submitted it in '96, and the rest is history.
So this is actually the first novel you wrote? Because oftentimes I talk to authors who have like a drawer full of abandoned manuscripts.
I did write I used to say yes. And not long ago, I was moving, and I discovered 2 little handwritten novels I'd done when I was 9 years old, 8 or 9 years old, back in a drawer. One was a mystery and one was a romance.
That's so much fun. Juvenilia.
I did them in pencil. They're ghastly. They're just horrible. Illustrated. But as far as adults, seriously writing fiction, I did do a partial manuscript before I did Deja Dead, as it is now. And I did that in third-person voice. And I don't know, I never finished it. It wasn't working. I put it away, as you said, in the drawer. And then when I decided to get serious, spring break of March of 1994, I switched to first-person voice, and then after that, that just worked for me.
So it's never been a problem for you that the books are so personal to you? I mean, because anyone who knows you or knows about your work realizes that Tempe is partly you.
Professionally.
Right.
There's no problem with that at all. And as far as her personal life, she's got her own personal life, and it doesn't really cross over into mine. She's got this strange relationship between her former husband, and then she's got her relationship, sort of, with a detective. She's got a daughter. That's all the alcoholism, that's all Tempe. That's strictly hers.
Did you, when you started out, I think planning some sort of clue about a character's past is always fun, but in Bones to Ashes we get a much more full-blown look at Tempe's past. Is that something that just developed as you wrote the series, or are you one of those people that had Tempe's whole biography in her head and just taken forever to get it out?
No, I did not have her whole biography in my head. In fact, sometimes I'll have to sit back and think, oh, did I kill her mother, or is her mother still alive? So I've given little bits and pieces of her past in other books, but I never really elaborated. You know that she's had this colorful period in her life when she was a bit over the edge with the alcohol, but I never really go into any detail about it. That's why Bones to Ashes is somewhat of a departure, because the first 2 chapters take place in her childhood, and we learn a lot more detail about some of the things that helped form her, the child that helped form her as an adult.
Wasn't there a hint in one of the other books about her father dying young and the move to the Carolinas?
You know that she lost her baby brother to leukemia, and her father died, but you don't know much about it beyond that. So you get more of a sense of it in this book.
Isn't it true that families that are wounded by the death of a child oftentimes really disintegrate? So sad to read about it in real life. It's sad to read about it in fiction.
Yeah, it is, and it obviously impacted Tempe. It impacted Tempe's mother. Therefore, it also impacted Harry. Tempe's sister is back in Bones to Ashes. Their mother has moved the 2 girls back to the Carolinas, which is where she's from. And Tempe, in this very fragile state she's in after losing 2 of the most important people in her life, makes friends with a little girl who is from Acadia, up in Canada.
New Brunswick?
Maritimes. Yeah, up in the Maritimes, a French-speaking group up there. And she's shipped down, for reasons of her family's, each summer to Pawleys Island, which is one of the barrier islands off the Carolina coast. And she and Tempe become very good friends in an important part of your life when you're a little girl, between the ages of 8 and 12, and Evangeline is 2 years older. And when Evangeline is 14, she disappears. And when Tempe asks where she is, the family just says, don't look for her, she's dangerous. And Tempe never sees her again. So that's a third blow in her young life.
It's also an interesting way for you to keep tying these disparate parts of your own life together. How in the world did you go from being a professor in the Carolinas to connected with the judicial system in Montreal?
I went on something called National Faculty Exchange, NFE. And it's a program in which a faculty member from one institution changed places for a year with a faculty member from another institution. And this memo about it came across my desk. Well, no, we were in a faculty meeting, and there was someone in Montreal, in one of the English-speaking universities, English language institutions there, that wanted to come to the Carolinas. And I had just taken a French 101 class. So I was looking at that board in the faculty meeting, of course, which will play a part in the next book. And I thought, oh, I speak French, I can do this, you know. So I applied, and it worked out, and off I went to Montreal.
And from there, what? You made such a connection, you decided to maintain that kind of dual role?
Yeah, well, first of all, I learned I didn't speak as good French as I thought I did, and I certainly didn't speak very good Quebecois French.
Right.
But during the year I was there, teaching at both Concordia and at McGill universities, the lab there, which is a central crime and medical legal lab for the whole province.
Right.
It's about 7 million people. They wanted a forensic anthropologist who was board certified and could work in French. So I think there was a pool of one to choose from, so I got that job, and have continued to work for them on a per case basis. They call me when there's a case. It's not a full-time position, so I've been commuting ever since 1990.
So you work up there, and you're on the faculty in, is it Charlotte?
Yes.
And now you're a best-selling author who has somehow managed to produce a book a year. What had to give and all that? I have a cheat sheet here, which I know what had to give, but I thought it'd be sort of fun to.
Well, one of the things that had to give was the teaching, sadly. I've been on sabbatical for, I think it's 8 years now, 8 or 9 years. So that's kind of nice.
I have a really nice email from the dean of your college.
Do you?
who, believe it or not, I worked for when she was the chair of the English department at ASU.
Oh my goodness.
And I taught detective fiction, recruited by her for 3 years at ASU, until I got so busy that I couldn't maintain an academic schedule that was fair to kids and carrying us when we started Poison Pen Press, and it all got too much. But anyway, she sent a very nice email, and she is all excited about her opportunity to meet you when you're there. But she said that an author named Mark de Castries will be interviewing you sometime in mid-September, writing a cover story for the college magazine.
That's right. Yeah.
Interestingly enough, he's the author I edit. He's a Poison Pen Press author.
There you go.
So
the circle closes.
Isn't it weird? And we both went to Northwestern. I mean, I find that so interesting, but who knew? I laughed when I opened up my email yesterday, and I thought, okay, here's Kathy coming, and here is her dean, Nancy, writing to say, she's so excited about meeting you, and you'll be happy to know she ordered a signed copy of Bones to Ashes.
Very good.
But from that, I conclude that you haven't been, in fact, teaching.
I have not, but I do some presentations for the university, some events for the chancellor, and there's an upcoming event that she's going to be involved in as well.
Terrific. Well, I think you'll really like her. And I'm extremely fond of Mark, who is maybe taking slight leaf from you and is writing a new book set at the Biltmore Estate outside Asheville.
Okay.
But it has to do, I think, there's a bit of an anthropology riff in it, and there's it's called The Coffin Man. That's about all I know. But
Coffin mate?
Man, I believe.
Okay.
But I think it has something to do with a body that is coming up. So this whole CSI thing has produced an awful lot of crime novels now, in which they're either, hard or soft science?
There's a tremendous interest in it, and my colleagues and I are just puzzled. We don't really, no one paid attention to us forever, and all of a sudden we're hot, so we're not, I think the timing of it, as I kind of roll it around in my mind, I think it stems from the OJ trial.
Do you?
When we were all exposed to it so, all day long.
It wasn't really a trial, it was theater.
Well, there was that, but there was a lot of forensic science.
There was.